Do you have any idea when is it going to get repaired?
After 11:30.
That's not helpful also. Okay, then if that's the case, right? Oh, wait. Okay, I will try to see if I can find an alternative value for our next few A-Maths lesson. Because I'm going to draw graphs and I cannot tolerate such a bad visualizer. You want me to draw graph on whiteboard? Very good. Yeah, then after that 6 square root 6. Okay, then after that for xy, you will take 1 times 2.20. So we get 2.20. Alright, in your calculation, okay, it needs to be rounded to 3 significant figures, okay, if it is not exact. Okay, I'll give you a minute to do the calculation for this table. Do not have graph paper. Are we done? Okay, it shouldn't take you too long to draw out this table of values and to compute what is inside. Okay, so what you should be getting will be 2.83, 5.20, 8, 11.18, 14.70. Okay. So you notice that for some of my values, they are not in 3SF. Okay, so either you can do it by 3SF, or you can do it to be having same decimal place, okay, throughout all your questions. So 8.00, that's also fine, 1.00. Okay, so 2 decimal places, alright, would allow you to have some form of accuracy in terms of marking out the things in your table or in your graph itself. Okay, I'll explain later once we start plotting. Alright, so it's either you take 3SF or 2DP. Okay, up to you. Right? This one is just for us to be able to have points for us to plot. Okay? Because eventually, alright, there are some plot points that we cannot plot to the accuracy. For example, 11.76. We know that based on half a square, okay, we may not be able to plot all the way to have a 0.06 accuracy. Okay, so now in this question, using a scale of 1 cm to 1 unit, okay, this is very unlike of your EMATS itself. In EMATS, usually they will tell you the scale to use. Okay, there will be some question in AMATS where they don't give you the scale. So you need to decide your own scale itself. Okay, so for starters, I'm giving you a scale of 1 cm to 1 unit. I hope you know what is 1 cm large in your graph paper. That is 1 medium square. That means 5 small squares is 1 cm large. Okay, so 1 cm to 1 unit on each axis, right? Looking at the table itself, okay, you need to know where to place your axis. Does anyone not have long ruler? You definitely need to invest in a long ruler. I only have 4 here. Remember, I have another one for myself. Okay. They are not in one. big one, please help yourself. Please return later on. Okay, please use a pencil to draw. Right? I don't encourage you to use pen at all. Okay, because there's a high chance of errors for this kind of question. So 1 cm to 1 unit, right? Because our horizontal axis is going to be from 1 all the way to 14.70. So you got to count first. Okay. So if I have my 0 on this line here, okay, then I will have 1. Because 1 cm 1 unit, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so I'm able to accommodate everything within here if I have my 0, okay, over here. So I can draw my vertical axis here. Okay, in labeling the vertical axis, be careful, we label it as XY. I avoid labeling it as big Y and big X because if that's the way, then you need to define it. Okay, so just do XY. Then now for the vertical axis, okay, we need to count and make sure it can accommodate numbers from 2.20 to 11.76. Okay, so usually I would want to have 0 okay, I want to have origin 0, 0 for both my horizontal and vertical. So I want to have 0 all the way to 11.76. Okay, so if I were to go all the way down, if I choose this line to be where my 0 starts, I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so I'm able to accommodate 12 by here already. So I can actually have my horizontal axis over here. Okay, and I label this as x square root x. Okay, so now I mark out all my points. So this is my origin 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14. Draw the axis ready. Anybody have problem with the axis? Right, and now we plot. Okay, I'll give you a minute to draw the axis first. We need to watch how I plot. Okay, when you're done, put down your pencil, look up so that I will know. Okay, can I continue with the plotting? Alright, so first plot we want to have is 1 and 2.20. Okay, this one here. So let's locate 1 and 2.20. So when the horizontal axis is 1, 2.20, 2 is here, 2.20 that means 1 small square up. This one is an easy plot. Okay, there is no argument that 1 and 2.20 should be here. Okay, the problem comes in the next plot. Okay, the second plotting we have 2.83 and 3.48. Okay, so clearly with such a scale, I cannot have I've got 2.83. Right? So watch how I plot up. So 2 to 3 is over here. I know where is 2.8. Correct? Half a small square will be 2.9. Okay, half a small square will be 0.1. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, so I know that down here is 3, then down here 2.8. This is one small square. Half a small square down here will be 2.9. Okay, I cannot put a 2.83. Alright, there is no scale, no grid over here for me to agar where is the 2.83. Okay, so your eyes also don't have grids. You're not like housefly got grids in the eyes. Actually, I also don't know whether housefly got grids in the eyes or not. But you're not required. Okay, you're not supposed to go and do some aggregation and then after give me 2.83 somewhere here. Okay, so you need to make a decision. Okay, are you brought up in Singapore, Joseph? Estimation.
I know what agar, but I don't know what.
Yeah, so estimation, okay, don't estimate, okay? So 2.83, okay, don't go and think that somewhere around here, you just need to make a decision, okay? Either you go down, plot at 2.8 or 2.9, okay? Personally, if you tell me 2.83, I will find that it is closer to 2.8 than to be 2.9. Agree? Okay, so we plot it at 2.8. So that's the x square x value. Okay, then for the xy value, same thing. Okay, if you were to look at the grid itself, if I have 3 and 4 over here, 3.4, that means it is around maybe this square here already. Okay, two small squares above 3, that will be where 3.4 is. So we need to decide. Alright, if I have a square, this is 3.4, the next one is 3.6. Half a small square will give me 3.5. Okay, so 3.48. Is it closer to 3.4 or closer to 3.5? What do you all think? Who thinks it is closer to 3.4? Who thinks it's closer to 3.5? Okay, I also agree with that. So therefore, in this case, we will plot this at 2.8, this one at 3.5. So we plot the point 2.8, 3.5 instead. We don't adjust the table of values, we just need to make a decision by plotting the points. Okay? So 2.8 and 3.5 will be around here. Okay? Same thing. This 5.20, not an issue. We can clearly mark it out looking at our horizontal axis. The next one is 5.13. Okay, on our vertical axis, 5.1 is half a small square. Okay, then after the next one is 5.2 already. Okay, so I will make a decision that it is closer to 5.1. So I draw it at 5.2, 5.1. Okay, so I want you to do the same for the rest of the points. Okay, I have labeled up in purple about the points that I've decided to plot it at. Okay? 14.7 and 11.8. 11.8. Okay, just draw first, no need to connect it yet. Okay, now when it comes to connecting, because this is a linear law, okay, in the sense that we are transforming a non-linear equation into a linear equation. Furthermore, as we do the transformation, right, okay, and I compute the values in the table, these values that I have from the table, they are not exact. Okay, they are not exact. Then when I transfer it into my plotting, it is even more not exact because I had to make a decision about where the points are plotted. So therefore, you will not be expecting your points to able to connect nicely in a straight line as compared to how you draw a line graph in your Emacs. Okay, so you should not be expecting that the points are able to connect nicely. It is not all the time going to happen. Okay, in this case, alright, we are able to connect, okay, all the points together in one straight line. In the event that you're not able to connect it all in a straight line, we just have to connect as much as possible, okay, as many points as possible together in one straight line. Okay, you don't go in a zigzag kind of graph like a stock market. Okay, so we connect it in one straight line. Okay, later on I will have another example to show you where it doesn't connect nicely. Okay, I want you to take note that when you connect the line, it must go through the vertical axis. Okay? It must go through the vertical axis. Okay? And with that, right, we are done with drawing the graph. Okay, so A part I in the question, example 1A part I, done. Alright, let's take a look at A part I part 2. Okay, so that's how you draw the graphs now. Right, A part 2 asks you to use your graph, okay, specifically use your graph to estimate the value of A and B. So what is this value of A and B? Okay, A and B is found in the equation that is originally given, that is y equals to A over x plus B square root x. So you may be wondering, right, how in the world am I supposed to find A and B from a graph like that? Somehow my graph already changed this thing. Okay, so we use our skill that we have learned in our previous section, which is to manipulate this equation into having my big X and big Y in this manner. Okay, so that's why the skill that we learned in 9.1 is very important. So how do we go about doing that? We want our big Y to be small xy. And our big X to be x square root x. So what we got to do is, okay, this is working that you need to present in your answer, so you need to write it down in your graph paper at the back. Okay, so we times x throughout the whole equation. Okay, and I will have my x here and my x here. Okay, we no longer have our A over x. Right? Then do you see now that I have my big Y, okay, and my big X over here. Alright? So what is the gradient value that you can identify in this equation? The gradient matches out with which one? Gradient match with what? Joseph? Y equals mx plus c. So which is the gradient? What represents the gradient? A represents the gradient.
B.
B represents the gradient. Amanda, do you agree? B represents the gradient. A plus B represents the gradient. Li Hui, what do you think? B represents the gradient. Nicole, what do you think? B represents the gradient. Okay, so it is B that represents the gradient, right? Because xy equals to B times x squared x plus A. So if I were to match up with my y equals to m big X plus C. Okay, so we've got to be able to identify where is the gradient, where is the y-intercept. Okay, so gradient is by B. Okay, and then my vertical intercept, be very careful, don't happily write y-intercept like that. Because in this case, we're not referring to small y-intercept anymore. Okay, you should write xy-intercept. Or you write big y-intercept. Now, of course, that one you need to define what is x, what is y. As what is big x and what is big y. Okay, so xy-intercept will then be A. Okay, so to find out what is the value of B and A from the graph, that means that I need to find the gradient and the intercept value. Okay, the intercept value is easy to find, which is just right over here. That is the reason why I ask you to extend your line, which is compulsory, until you meet the vertical axis. Okay, so what is the value that you can read from the graph? Answer. What do you see for your xy intercept? 1.5? So Jen, do you get 1.5 too? No? What do you get? Huh? 1.4? Yeah. 1.4 and yours is 1.5. Okay, closer to 1.5. Okay. Any other values? 1.4, actually I got 1.5 in our original graph. Okay, it is acceptable either you have 1.5 or 1.4. Does anyone have 1.6 instead? 1.6? Time you free hand. See, people win also lah. Okay, so xy intercept, right, should be actually about 1.4 or 1.5. Okay, so this one is dependent on your graph itself. Just make sure you read it carefully. Okay. Then for B, the gradient itself, okay, to find the gradient, right, please do not, here do not use the plotted points to find the gradient. So you should not go and take this point, the coordinates here, and this point's coordinates and then find the gradient. No. Okay? The reason is because, right, it is not all the time that your straight line passes through the points. Because there can be cases where your straight line doesn't pass through the points. In this case, most of the points seem nicely pass through lah. Okay? So to avoid that kind of inaccuracy and that kind of errors, please, for that line, go and find another 2 points to calculate your gradient. So what kind of points should you find? Okay? You should find points such that the line, okay, let's say there's this square, the line passes through nicely at a corner. Okay? Of course, don't be like within one square to find 2 points. Right? You should find one line pass through a corner very nicely. Okay? You will be able to find at least 2 of such points. Okay? So could you try to locate these 2 points? Okay, what I had previously located, let me zoom out. Okay, I previously located and I still can find it here, which is 6.4 and 6. Okay, hopefully yours matches as well. Okay, then after that, the other one that I managed to get is 13 and 10.6. For these points that you find, okay, please label the coordinates so that I can easily, so that the marker can easily tell where you find these points from. And then another condition about these points is that it needs to be as far as possible. Okay, as far as possible so that you can have greater accuracy in calculating your gradient. Okay? Do you all have the same points as me? Can you all find the point? It should meet very nicely at the corner. If yours doesn't, then go and find another one. Okay? Okay? So then after that, I find the gradient now. So the gradient, use the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So 10.6 minus 6 over 13 minus 6.4. Okay, then go and calculate. Leave answer to be 3sf. Even if it can be expressed as a fraction, you should put it as 3sf. Okay. So that is how you find A and B. Okay, so yes. Anybody else have questions regarding why I choose these two? Okay, you no need to choose these two one. Okay, you can choose other points. Maybe I saw just now Wena's one. Okay, she is able to find one that is further away at maybe 3.6 and 4. Okay, maybe you can have one at 3.6 and 4. Right, that is fine as well. Okay, then maybe your gradient value might not be the same as mine. Okay, but don't worry, there is always an allowance in terms of the gradient. Okay, it should not be too far away from my 0.697. Okay, if you give me 0.7, that might be within the range also. It's still fine. 0.7 is still fine. Okay, but I cannot give you a definite answer over what is considered acceptable because it depends on the question itself. Okay, definitely the teachers will have a way of trying to find out these values, alright, but I'm not requiring you to go and know how to determine these steps, right? As long as you're able to identify gradient and the intercept value, okay, and then after that, it makes sense to the question. This one is a positive gradient graph, so you should be getting a positive answer. So these are some fundamentals that you can check. Okay? Any question? Right? So just to summarize what steps that we have taken so far, right? Okay? So whenever we do linear log, we have to form the table of values first. Okay? That is relevant to the axis that we are taking. Okay? That is relevant to the big X and big Y involved. Okay, then the second step is in the axis itself. Okay, the axis we need to choose a suitable scale. So far we did not have to choose. Okay, so you should choose a suitable scale that accommodate all points. Okay, and also allow your graph if you choose a scale that is so small that it only occupies one small area in your graph paper, okay, number one, I think your eye power is really very good. Okay, number two, that's not possible, you're wasting paper lah. Okay, so please choose to have a graph, choose an axis, a scale that the graph can occupy at least half the graph paper. Okay, so I can accommodate all points and occupy half of graph paper. Okay, and another very important thing, okay, we notice that in our calculation we make use of finding gradient and we make use of finding the intercept value, the xy intercept. We can only find the big Y intercept, okay, only if our big X, our horizontal axis, reaches a 0 over here. If this over here starts with a 1, 2, 3 or 4, then this value that you're reading here is no longer going to be the xy intercept. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, so this is my big Y intercept, and it is only when big X is equals to 0. So we got to make sure that our horizontal axis starts at 0. Okay? Further on, as you go down more examples, I will show you examples where we need not, okay, have it starting at origin 0, 0. Right? So it is possible that my vertical axis doesn't start with 0. It can start with maybe 10,000, okay, or maybe not such large numbers, okay, maybe 20 or 22, or that is possible, okay. So, but we got to ensure that our horizontal axis itself, okay, starts at 0. That one is a must, okay. Then after that, we have settled the axis, okay. For the points, make decision on where to plot it. On where to best plot it. Okay? Then after that, when you drew the line, for the line, we need to ensure that the points are balanced. For this topic, this thing over here, okay, about the points being balanced, right? I'll talk more about it when we do a second of the example. Okay. So after we drew the line, okay. One more thing, pass through. It has to pass through the vertical axis, because when it comes to solving the question, manipulate the equation into y equals mx plus c. Then we need to solve for the unknowns. Usually it's always using gradient and the big Y intercept value. Okay. the steps for linear law questions. Okay, this is another topic of linear law. Okay, it will guide you well enough for all such questions. Okay, let's turn over to example 1 part B. We have not yet completed example 1. Okay, I erase Anybody still not done? Okay. I erase this part first now. Okay, part B, we want to draw another straight line on the same diagram that represents the equation xy plus x square root x equals to 4. Okay, keep in mind that the diagram that we have already drawn, our horizontal axis is x square root x. So this is already our horizontal axis. This is already our vertical axis. So in other words, okay, if I were to shift it and arrange it such that we get our y equals mx plus c, okay, I can write it as xy equals to negative x square root x plus 4. So we have our y equals to mx plus c. Okay, so m is negative 1. Okay, and our plus 4 is our intercept value. Okay. If you're skilled enough, okay, you can do away with having a table of values, and then after that you just draw a parallel line that is parallel to y equals to negative x, and then after that have intercept 4. Of course, I understand we're not at that level yet. So to draw out this line, okay, you can draw another table of values. In this case, we just draw a very simple one. Okay, we have our x square root x and xy. Just have 3 points will do. Okay, in fact 2 points is enough for you to draw a line. Okay, but 3 points will be more accurate, right? To decide what are the values to choose for x square root x, you just choose from your horizontal axis. Any number will do. Okay, so you can choose 1, 2, 3, but choosing 1, 2, 3 not ideal because they are very close. Okay, if you choose 1, 2, and 3 for the horizontal axis value, they are going to be very close. So you can spread it out more. So for myself, I have already pre-calculated 1, 2, and 6. Okay, it is solely up to you over what value you want to choose. Okay, so now I have 1, 2, and 6. Then how to know what is xy? Okay, to know what is xy, right? That means it is negative 1, this x square x is 1 plus 4. Okay, so this is negative 1 plus 4, so that's 3. Okay, and then this one is negative 2 plus 4, so that's 2. And then this will be calculated with negative 6 plus 4, so it's negative 2. Does anyone not understand how I get these numbers? Are we good? Okay, so after we get these numbers, then we can plot already. Okay, so in order to plot this, right, this one no need to make any decisions. 1, 3, x is 1, 3 is here. Okay, then 2, 2, and here, and then 6, negative 2. Clearly you can see from my part, 6, negative 2 will be below and up. Okay, so that's why if you choose the numbers and if you decide to choose x square root x to be 15, you need to realize that you don't have that space. Okay, unless earlier on you had this shifted up. Okay, extra line here. Remember to label. Earlier on also I forgot to label. So earlier on you can label it as y equals to a over x plus b square x, or you label it with the manipulated equation. Also okay. If you don't label, you are just leaving it to the examiner to decide for you which one is correct and which one is wrong. Okay, so I'm happy go and choose this one to be your answer for A part I, and then this one is the answer for part B. Then I don't give you any marks. Okay, so please label. Don't sacrifice yourself. Okay, then after in part B, they continue to ask you to find the value of small x for which the two lines intersect. Remember, question say, find the value of small x. Okay, small x and not big X. Okay, so how to solve for this? We look for the intersection point, no doubt. Okay, and in my intersection, I will find that the value for the x coordinate, the so-called horizontal axis x coordinate, okay, x square x will actually read it to be about 1.4 or 1.5. You look at your own graph, what do you get? You understand what I'm trying to say? This intersection point here, read down, because it's labeled as x square root x. Okay, in this graph here I got 1.5. Previously I got about 1.4. Okay, if you find that it's in the middle of nowhere, not very clear that it is 1.5, you once again have to make your best decision. Okay, 1.4 or 1.5. Right? I find that it's closer to 1.4, so I choose 1.4. Okay, so if I had chosen 1.4, I now need to go and solve to find out what is the small x, because question asks for small x. So how to solve? Is your indices coming into play? X times x to the power of half equals to 1.4. So this x power 1 times x power half, that means x power 3 over 2 equals to 1.4. Okay? Then to find out what is x, okay, that means that it is 1.4 to the power of 2 over 3. Because to get rid of the over 2, that means a square root. Okay? Over 2 here describes a square root. So to do the opposite of square root, we do a square. Okay? Then this 3 over here represents a cube. The opposite of cube is cube root. Do you understand? Okay, and then we can press calculator and we get about 1.2514, which is 1.253 SF. Okay. Alternatively, right, it is not all the time that you can make use of the x coordinate nicely and then after that get the answer. Why do I choose the x coordinate and not the y coordinate of that point? Okay, if you look at the y coordinate of the point, y coordinate actually represents xy. So if I read in this diagram, I get about 2.5. But this value not helpful in helping us to find out the value of x, because I must know what is the value of small y. Okay, but then the question is, can I find the value of small y? I can't, because the big x coordinate give me only small x value. So there's no way for me to make use of the big y coordinate value, okay, to find out what is small x, unless I have the value of small y. Okay, if I want to make this question harder, I can, okay, make it by instead of asking you to find the value of small x, I ask you to find the value of small y. Okay, then in doing that, I need you to solve for small x first, then I substitute inside here to find small y. So that's one way that I can make the question difficult. Right? So, but of course you must also know how to solve. So to find out that, I can put 1.4 power 2 over 3 times y equals 2.5. So y equals to 2.5 divided by 1.4 to the power 2 over 3. Then I can solve for the small y. Okay? Any questions? Right? It will take some time for us to get used to this. Okay, I understand there's a lot of x and y going on, a lot of big x and big y. Sometimes I may be lazy and drop the word big. Okay, so I hope that you can follow with what I'm trying to say. Right? To prepare ourselves for the next few lessons, okay, I don't want to waste time in terms of having you to do calculations and all that. Could I get you to do, for example, 2 all the way to 5, each one in one piece of graph paper, go and form the table of values, okay, that is required for the question. So for example, in example 2, right, I need you to form a table of values of log n and log t. Okay, because question says plot log n against log t. For example 3, I need you to have a table of value for log b and t. Example 4, okay, rb and small b. And example 5, okay, example 5 no need to do. Example 5 you will do it together. Okay, so just draw for me the table of values that corresponds to what the question wants. Okay, so next lesson I will try to find alternative value so that it doesn't strain your eyes. And you end here for today.